All right, Jacob Castro here with Martin the Spartan Day. Martin, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. So, first thing I want to ask is, after getting back from UFC 251, how was the quarantine stuff? Tell me about that a little bit. I heard it's a little strict over there.
Yeah. Hawaii I think it's one of the more strict states, and really, I think it's because we have a big geographical advantage. Out here in the middle of the ocean, we can actually stop people from coming in and spreading the virus and stuff. So when I came in, I was had to do a mandatory 2 week quarantine, 14-day quarantine. Um, I actually did most of my quarantine over in the Big Island at my parents' house in Hilo. But I had to come here to Oahu first because I had some tests to do and some doctor's appointments, for my head and just a couple injuries I took in the fight. So yeah, I did that, and then I went over to the Big Island, did the rest of my quarantine over there, and then came back over here beginning of this week, and feels good to be
Nice,
out of
man.
quarantine. Yeah, sitting around at home sucks.
I hear you. So this is your first week out of quarantine then?
Yep. First week out of quarantine. I've been out of quarantine since Monday, so about 4 days now. And yeah, it feels good to be out and about. It was nice though in the Big Island. I got to visit my parents, and I used to live down there in Hilo side, so it's nice being over there in the country.
Okay, right on with BJ Penn over there too, huh?
Yeah. BJ and my brother-in-law is good friends with BJ, and they invited me for a training session over there. But I was like, oh, sorry guys, I'm in quarantine, can't make it.
Nice. Well, were you able to train at all at home in quarantine?
I've just been kind of taking these last 2 weeks off and resting my body and stuff. I did my first training session back yesterday, or actually, I did a light one on Monday night after quarantine, and then I did my first actual training session yesterday. Did some strength and conditioning and stuff. So I'm kind of slowly getting back. I just had to take a couple weeks off, rest my body, especially after a loss like that. I got to make sure I'm fully healthy and stuff before I get back into training.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And speaking of that, I thought you had a great performance regardless of the result. Even all the way up until it kind of ended there. I thought you had an awesome performance, close fight. But after seeing the doctors and stuff like that, how is everything with you? Were you concussed at all, or everything all right with you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I was concussed. After taking a hit like that, I mean, technically, you're concussed after like every single sparring session. If you look at the definition of a concussion, I think.
Yeah,
But I'm not an expert on it or anything. But I think after a straight knockout like that, you're definitely concussed. But I'm feeling good now. You just gotta, when it comes to your head and your health, you just gotta put that first, because that's gonna, you need that later on. You're not gonna be fighting forever, but you're gonna need your health for as long as you're around. So I definitely put in that first and just taking my time as far as my recovery goes.
yeah, man, definitely. And I'm glad to hear that you're taking it seriously because a lot of those guys try to hop right back in there, and it definitely slow down your reaction times and things like that, huh? If you hop back too
Yeah, yeah,
fast.
yeah. Especially when it comes to your head, you gotta take care of it.
Yeah. Well, and then since coming back, how like are you approaching it real light? Because like you said, after every training session, you can kind of get concussed. What have you been doing to train other than strength and conditioning? You doing like jujitsu or anything like that, or hitting the pads?
Yeah, more low impact stuff. After a hit like that, you don't want to be cracking pads too hard, or absolutely no sparring yet. Sparring will have to wait for a while. But yeah, just like low impact stuff, weight training, strength conditioning, and yeah, I haven't gotten back into jujitsu yet this week, but and it's tough too right now because there's still restrictions and on that type of training. But when it's time, then I'll be able to get a small group of guys together and be able to do that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, how about like the motivation and stuff like that? You still excited to get back in there eventually?
Yeah, like to me, it's not really even just a matter of motivation. It's like I don't get up in the morning like super motivated. This is just what I do. It's part of my life, and I mean, I don't know what I would do if it wasn't for this. So maybe it is motivation. Maybe it's just my lifestyle. Like you get up and you're breathing. I get up, I breathe, I train. It's like
Yeah.
it's something I don't even really have to think about or try to stay motivated on or anything like that. It's just what I do. I've been doing it for so long. I wouldn't be right if I didn't do it.
All right. And speaking of that, I actually wanted to ask, how did you get your start in martial arts. I see that you kind of been, is it Taekwondo where your foundation in mixed martial arts?
Yeah, Taekwondo is my background. I've been doing that since I was a kid, under Samuel Bashaw's Academy of Taekwondo in Kailua. And I actually started boxing as well shortly after. So, I'm a kickboxer, Taekwondo based kickboxer. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I used to compete in Taekwondo and martial arts tournaments all over the island. And I actually went as far as going to Ireland to compete in the Taekwondo World Tournament. I got first place in that, and I think it was 2004. Um, and yeah, after that, I just started doing more full contact kickboxing and stuff. My style of Taekwondo was more of like a full contact style anyway. So when I went into kickboxing, it was pretty good transition. I'm actually undefeated as an amateur kickboxer and as a professional kickboxer. I have a pretty high finish rate in that too. But yeah, so after kickboxing, I went to MMA, and that's how I got started in MMA. I have 3 amateur MMA fights. I went 3-0, all knockouts, and then my coaches decided it was time for me to turn pro in 2015. So I haven't been at this for that long. I turned pro in 2015. I got signed to the UFC at the end of 2018. So I still have a lot of growing to do and a lot to learn. People don't realize I haven't been pro for that long, even though I've been training for a long time. So yeah, it's a lot of good times ahead still.
Yeah, man, I hear you. And I had a question about, I have a feeling that they played a big impact, but your family and stuff, I see you're from a big family. And what kind of role did they play in martial arts with you? Did your parents coach you at all, or tell me a little bit about
Uh,
that?
no, my parents have never trained or have I mean, they don't have any kind. My dad's a water guy. Actually, all of my family we're all grew up on the water, sailing, surfing, and that was my dad's thing. And my mom, she was an athlete in high school and stuff, but she always tells me that should have became like a doctor or something. she she's your average mom. She doesn't want to see their kids getting punched in the face, but she supports me no matter what. But yeah, my younger brother Jesse and Moana are both black belts in Taekwondo, and my younger brother Jesse is actually a second-degree black belt. And they're not really training too much anymore. They don't train anymore. My younger sister does sometimes. I'm number 7. There's 9 of us total, so I'm on the younger side. And I'm also one of the. I think I'm the. Well, I don't think I know. I'm the smallest brother, so I'm like the runt of the litter. So I think that's how maybe I ended up becoming a fighter. And you know, my whole family we're all really close and we all support each other. They definitely them along with my wife are my biggest support system. So yeah, it's awesome to have a big family like that. A lot of support. Family get-togethers are always nice, and we all live close. And like I said, we're all close to each other, so that's cool.
Yeah, and it's really nice to have that kind of support, I'm sure. And I wanted to know, like, is that why? Because I think you're crazy in the octagon, like you're wild out there. You got that dog in you for sure. It doesn't matter if they hit you, like you're calling for more after that. You think it's because you're the little brother, kind of like the smaller one in the family, you got it from that, or where do you think you got that from? Have you always had it?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's from that. And could just I just like it's a lot of it too is just from growing up in Hawaii. If you, I think, if you look at pretty much all the Hawaiian fighters, they're all kind of like that. Fighting and is part of growing up in Hawaii. You get into fights and you're around it all the time. Guys fighting after school, you're fighting after school. So it's like it's
Definitely.
just part of it's part of growing up over here, and that's kind of what gets me into trouble sometimes in the octagon. That dog mentality. As you can see, I got caught a little bit, more than a little bit, but yeah, it's I think that's what makes for exciting fights too. That's why people love to see the Hawaiian fighters get in there because we're always looking to throw down and mix it up on the feet. We're not trying to hug anyone's legs or anything like that. So yeah, it's good and bad, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm Hawaiian too, and I feel like that's why I grew up in wrestling, and I've done some jujitsu and stuff. I'm going to school right now, so I took a little break, but I even feel like maybe it's just in the blood a little bit because you just got a calling
Yeah,
for it, huh?
yeah, for sure. There's something about it, being Hawaiian and being from Hawaii. It's it's just part of growing up, and you're a native Hawaiian, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. So let me know a little bit about like your relationship with Max Holloway. How has he helped you out throughout maybe the last couple of years? I know you kind of turned pro in 2015, but have you always trained with him and over at that gym? Or I know you have your other coach, Charles, but are you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
connected with that same gym or how does that go?
We're like sister gyms. We all used to be under one roof over at Technics, and then Charles branched off. Charles wanted to open up his own gym, which he has now. And but I've continued training at Technics as well as being with Charles over at Hawaii Elite. A lot of the guys cross train with each other. Max comes over, I go over there, and I train. I've never stopped training at Technics. But yeah, Max has been a huge help and just a huge factor in my growth in my career. He's one of the handful of guys that have helped me out a lot. And I turned pro in 2015, but I think I've been training with Max since like end of 2013 or 2014. And yeah, he's helped me out a lot. Always giving tips on a lot of my fights in Hawaii. He's cornering me and helping me out through that. And even though he's a little bit younger than me, he's like a big brother to me in the sport. So yeah, he's helped me out so much. It's crazy. I take a lot of knowledge from him.
Right on. And I think I know your answer about this one, but what did you think of that fight? Did you think he won and how did you like his performance there?
Oh man, I think everyone thought he won now.
Yeah.
I thought I had him up like at least 3 rounds, if not 4 rounds. Honestly, I mean, I think I'm biased, but I had him up. I try not to be biased when I look at my friend's fight, but I mean, I had him up 4 rounds to one. It's just like I don't understand how he lost that fight. The judging that night has a lot of the judging lately has been a little bit. I just don't agree with a lot of it, and I mean, for that, I think you don't even have to have too much fight experience to know that Max won that fight, and everybody knows it. I'm pretty sure Volkanovski knows it. So it's like, like Max says, though, it is what it is, right? He always has a
Yeah.
good attitude about things, but that was a crazy robbery, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you on that one. I think
Yeah,
I heard a report earlier this week. Dana's going to be looking to make the third one, which is nice to hear. But
yeah,
let me ask you about um, your relationship with your coach Buster. I saw on your Instagram he passed recently, and tell me about him, the impact he had on your life. I'm curious to know about that.
Oh man, right when I got chicken skin, because right when you asked me that question, his wife just texted me, like right when you're asking me that, the banner came up on the top of my phone.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, yeah, Coach Buster was my boxing coach, and helped me out my whole career up until he passed away in the beginning of last year. But yeah, so he was my Taekwondo instructor's boxing coach too, and so that's how I met him. But yeah, he's been working with me since probably like 2003, and he's just like I said, Max was one of the handful of guys. Like he's one of that handful as well, who just not only helped me with my fighting and helped me become a better fighter, teach me how to box, but just put a lot of influence into the person I am today. So yeah, I owe a lot to that guy, and yeah, he's in my corner no matter what, even though he's not there physically. But yeah, he's my boxing coach since day one.
Awesome. Well, rest in peace to your coach, Buster. And I'll get you out of here on a couple more questions. But I know you just came off a long layoff, 2 years. I think you had some bad fortunes with like 3 canceled fights. So I don't imagine you want to take too much time off, even though, you just came off that knockout. But what's next for you? Like, when do you think you want to get back in there? How much time do you want to take to recover before you start looking at getting a new fight?
Um, as soon as I'm fully recovered and I'm clear to spar and stuff like that, then I definitely want to start getting back into a camp again. But like I said, right now my health comes first. So yeah, that's a tough question because I want to get back in there like right now, but I know it's
Yeah.
not good for me at this point. So I just gotta take it slow and be smart about it. But as soon as I'm back ready to spar and train fully, then I'm ready to start a camp too. So yeah, I guess that's the best answer I can give you for that question.
All right. And then I'll get you out of here on this one then. This is just something I kind of noticed. I was watching some film on you today on your last fight, and I think a fight between down the road, a fight between you and Sean O'Malley would be pretty exciting. You guys have like similar styles. Do you agree with me on that? Do you think the same thing? What do you think about that?
Yeah, everybody has been a lot of people tell me that same thing. It would be a very exciting fight. You know, he has a really exciting style, and I really like his style too. But yeah, right now he's climbing the ladder and he's doing real good in his career. So I definitely would have to do a lot of working and catch up with him if I want to make that fight happen. And it would be an honor to be in there with him, and it would definitely be a great fight. But like I said, I gotta work my way up to that one.
Right on, man. Well, actually, I got one more for you,
Yeah.
and I'll get you out on this one. But what do you like to do out there in Hawaii? How do you keep busy when you're not fighting? What do you do to keep busy? What are your hobbies?
Yeah, I keep pretty busy. I teach Taekwondo over at the school I grew up training in, and I also like to surf. Surfing is what I try to get some surf sessions in throughout the week. That's definitely one of my favorite things to do, be out in the water. And just besides those two things, it's spending time with my wife and my family whenever I get a chance. Yeah, those things, it takes up pretty much all my time, keeps me busy.
Nice. So family and fighting, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And teaching the kids. I like that. You kind of give back to the youth, give back to the community.
Yeah, it feels good to be able to do that.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for your time. I look forward to seeing you in the octagon again sometime when you feel it's right for you. And I hope you recover nicely there.
Right on, bro. Thanks for having me on.